House, quick basketball stuff. I was in Denver for a couple days with Priscilla. We did a great live show, super fun. Gambling is legal in Denver. I can actually get FanDuel in Denver, and I could make some fun bets, which I did, including Jordan Love, 200 plus yards with the Packers 4.5, which
That's why we're cashing. Yeah.
But there were some future bets, and it got me looking at some of the over-under stuff and to make the playoff stuff.
For the NBA.
What do you think the Atlanta Hawks regular season win total is right now on FanDuel? The Hawks are 12-11. They've won 5 straight.
43? I didn't look. I haven't looked at it.
It's 38.5, House.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes.
They have a bunch of high-quality wins over the last 10 days, and we loaded way the F up on them getting to like 41 or 42 games, and I felt very validated. You know who's playing really effing good and was a key component of the handicap for why Atlanta could be capable of turning the page? DeAndre Hunter. Can that dude please stay on the floor? Keep DeAndre Hunter healthy. Make sure he's getting his vitamins, getting his sleep, because the Dyson Daniels thing cannot be understated or underrated. The addition of like a proper defensive player.
Can I just tell you,
I love Atlanta.
I did Ringer 100, and I had Dyson Daniels ahead of DeJounte Murray in the Ringer 100, and he was like 10 to 15 spots ahead.
So it's so Atlanta won that trade.
Atlanta won that trade. If it was a straight up, they also got Larry Nance and 2 first-round picks.
Yeah.
So the Atlanta thing, I was just startled by. So, of course, I had to bet it. And then I was like, well, I might as well throw some other over-unders in there.
Might as well.
So I did 2 different bets. What do you think Oklahoma City's over-under was heading into tonight?
Oh,
they won tonight.
I haven't looked. They won tonight. I think it made them 17-5. Let me guess. Yep. I'm going to say 58.
So it's 57.5. I threw that in.
Okay. I did pretty good.
And what do you think the Houston Rockets, who are playing as we tape, what do you think their over-under was?
Amazing. I did we all 3 of us lock the Houston Rockets over?
No, you guys did. I didn't.
I bet the Rockets are now 46.5.
Well, they were 42.5 when we did it. You and Russillo locked it.
Yeah.
It was now 50.5 on FanDuel.
Holy moly.
I know. And you guess what else? I bet it anyway. So I did Atlanta, OKC, and Houston plus 581 for the overs on that.
Bang.
Then the other one I did those 3. What do you think Dallas's over-under was? They won tonight. And by the way, Dallas has been sneaky contendery for the last 2 weeks. They have rounded into shape.
They were one of my locks in the preseason, and their number was like in the 49.5. They weren't even a 50. I bet they're 50 now.
You did not have them as a lock, but you did have them. But they were... I
think they were 49.5 in the preseason.
Yeah, they're 50.5, and they're 51.5 now. So I put that in there.
Fine.
And then I had the Lakers. What do you think the Lakers are right now?
It's got to be close to what the preseason was. Are they like 43?
44.5.
Okay. So a game and a half
So
above.
before the year, they were 42.5.
Oh, okay.
So 44.5, that was the number.
That's great.
Those 5 together, Atlanta over, OKC over, Houston over, Lakers under, Dallas over, was over 22-1 on FanDuel.
You need to tweet that out.
I happily put $100 on that.
You need to tweet that out.
I was so happy.
Get it.
So the Lakers would have to go 45-37 to beat that, and they cannot guard anybody.
Nope.
Other than your Wizards. So here's another one. I didn't bet this because I couldn't decide whether it was a good line or not. What do you think the Wizards over-under was heading into the game today, which they got killed in?
Oh, amazing. 14.5.
That's what it was.
Hey, I didn't even look. I swear I didn't look. Yeah.
Well, you didn't look at any of these.
No, I didn't.
You don't have to keep telling us. We believe you. 14.5. And my initial instinct was that's way too high. And then I was like, man, if you win less than 14 and a half games, that's becoming one of the more unsuccessful seasons in the history of the league. So
in the history of the league,
I stayed away. The Celtics were like 62 and a half, which I was surprised by. So here's the other thing I did. They have make the playoff bets. And I was frantically doing this on the plane before the plane took off. I'm just going to ask you if these teams will make the playoffs, and you can tell me yes or no. Dallas Mavericks?
Yes.
Houston Rockets?
Yes.
Denver Nuggets?
Yes.
Ooh, you paused the same way I did, but yes. So Denver's number was minus 400 to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Minnesota Timberwolves?
Yeah. Yes.
Phoenix Suns?
Yes.
Okay. So I thought those 5 would make it as well. Memphis Grizzlies?
Awesome story. I honestly think they are going to make the playoffs. Yes.
So my thinking was those were the 6 teams other than OKC. So OKC and those 6 in the West. And I don't know who's getting the 8th spot. You could tell me it's Golden State. You know, you can tell me.
Sacramento's not dead.
Those 6 with Atlanta. What do you think Atlanta's playoff odds were? Atlanta to make the playoffs.
Like decent. I think they're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah. Plus 106.
Yeah.
So all of those together was over 6-1.
Okay.
And I was trying to figure out who fucks that up. Dallas, Houston, Denver, Minnesota, Phoenix, Atlanta, or Memphis. Like the odds would say Atlanta.
Yes.
And yet if you watch Atlanta, I don't know how they're not going to be a 7 or an 8 seed.
In the East.
They can play defense. They try hard every night now. I think the coach likes the team. They're getting a better version of him than they've had before.
They kind of got all their injuries. I'll knock on wood for them because, we're rooting for them. We're invested in them. We feel like they owe us because we did this last season with them.
They were the fuck job team for it. We would have had like a legendary year last year with the over-unders, and they've completely fucked us.
Yeah. But I want to knock on wood and say they got most of their injury stuff out of the way at the beginning of the season, hopefully. Because look, the 2 wins that the Washington Wizards have, back-to-back wins against the Atlanta Hawks.
Right.
Amazing.
Right.
Only 2 wins.
And if Atlanta wins those, they're like 14-9 right now.
Right.
But I was looking at the game yesterday. It's like kind of the perfect box score where Capella has 17 rebounds. Daniel has 6 assists, 3 steals. Risa Shea hits a couple threes. Trae Young's terrible. He's 6 for 19. And Jalen Johnson has a 23, 13, and 5. And they beat Milwaukee by 15 points when Trae doesn't even play well. To me, that means they're a playoff team.
And on top of that, when I clicked into that game and saw early on that the Hawks were off a little bit, up by a little bit, it's like, oh, is Giannis not playing? Oh, Giannis was playing. Because Milwaukee is like the poor man's Denver this year to me. Yeah. They're only competitive if their super duper star is having an extra terrestrial performance. Another triple-double, by the way, for the Joker tonight with 20 effing rebounds, but they're not competitive at all in the game. Cleveland just dog walks them the whole game.
I almost bet that when I was in Denver, and I just don't like betting. I just don't like betting against Jokic.
But it's why you took the Denver over in the preseason.
But it was one of those things where it's like, this seems like a horrible matchup for them. Cleveland's just like way better.
Terrible
as an all-around team.
Yeah.
Murray, I watched some of that game. I had that on the small TV as I was watching the football game. Murray just isn't going by guys anymore. And I noticed it in person. Priscilla and I talked about it on our Denver pod, but he's getting like, he has the guy on his side, but he's not like getting the half step over them. The guy's just next to him and he can't ever really get to where he wants to go. And I think it's a massive, massive, massive concern. I'm very worried about them, House.
I understand.
Yeah, so Atlanta in the playoffs, if you're just looking standings wise, you figure Cleveland, Boston, Orlando, New York, and Milwaukee are locks to make the playoffs. I think those are the only 5. Atlanta's the 6th seed right now. Miami's 7. Brooklyn's going to start making trades soon because they don't want to be good. Chicago's kind of frisky and might not.
It's the same
Lonzo's
Chicago.
Back. There's a feel-good story.
Year.
They had a big win tonight.
The play-in Bulls. They can't wait to be in the 9-10 game.
And Indiana has lost 4 in a row. They're 9-14. And they might have the worst body language of any Eastern Conference team.
Well, they're the one. What happened? What happened to the Pacers?
So I've asked around a little, and I've also watched them. And I think Siakam's a really good player.
Yep.
And I'm not sure he fits in with how they played last year when we liked watching them so much.
Interesting.
Those first 2 months when Halliburton was great, and they're flying up and down.
Flying.
And then this year, you put Siakam in there. You bring Mathurin back, who I think is a little alpha-y. And they just seem like more of a normal basketball team than the team that we watched last year that was balls to the wall. And they don't seem that happy to me. Okay. So to me, they're East Coast Minnesota, where the roster shifted in Minnesota in a more obvious way, but they don't have the same kind of thing that made them special last year.
Okay.
For Indiana, it was that pace. And I don't see the same pace this year. Do you?
No, I haven't sat down and done any deep looks at the Pacers. I just keep looking at the outcomes of games and the box scores and trying to make sense out of why they're not competitive in these games. They're like getting blasted.
No, and you know, it's the classic year after syndrome too, right? Where
is Halliburton? Is there some kind of hangover from the Olympics? He didn't play in the Olympics, so it shouldn't have affected him.
Well, how about this? How many points a game do you think they averaged this year? Last year, remember, they were in like the 120s. They were 123, some crazy number.
It's like 108, 109. I don't know. I don't have it in front of me.
Last year, they were 123.3.
Yeah, what are they now?
This year, they're 113.4.
Okay.
So they've lost 10 points a game.
Yeah.
And yet they have Mathurin and they have Siakam for a full season. So that doesn't make sense, but it does make sense if you watch them. They don't play with the same pace. And to me, they're the most likely trade team in either conference right now is Indiana.
Makes a ton of sense. Because they
get
have
like
a
people
lot
are
of
like Chicago, but if you watch Chicago, they actually seem like they like playing with each other and they have like a specific identity. Indiana doesn't know what they are right now.
That is the issue, right? Like their identity, they have to outscore teams because they still don't defend. I mean, I haven't sat down and look at the advanced numbers.
No, they're almost -5 for the season. They're giving up 118.2 and they're scoring 113.4. So this brings me to my Atlanta point. I just think Atlanta took their spot. And I don't really see a path for Indiana unless there's some trade that they have coming. But they just signed Siakam to a huge deal.
Right.
If you look at Miles Turner's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. If you look at their assets, they have Walker, the kid they took in the lottery 2 years ago that hasn't really had an impact for them. If you look at their assets, they already traded a couple picks for Siakam. But on the other hand, they made the Final Four last year.
Mathurin's good. I think they have some good guys.
But I think he's the trade piece.
Yeah. Which one, Nembhard or Mathurin?
I think Mathurin is the trade piece.
Okay. He's good. I mean, that should fetch something.
One of the things that hurt with them is how many games does Nesmith miss now? Yeah, he's only played 6. And I think that's one of the reasons their defense has gone backwards.
Okay.
But anyway, the likely trade teams for me, Indiana, no question. I'll be really interested to see what happens with Minnesota and Randall and whether there's even a market for him. I went through all the teams, like anyone interested in Julius Randle for 33 or 36, whatever he makes, it gets really hard. It's hard to find takers. You end up like staring at like the Charlotte type of teams, but all those teams are trying to tank now.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. I'm surprised. Why aren't we talking about the Pelicans? The Pelicans, isn't everybody available on the Pelicans?
I guess, but Ingram's an expiring. What are you getting for him? They just signed McCollum. He's making over 30 a year. Like, are people looking for all offense guards who can't guard anybody making 30 plus a year?
That's
probably not. So, I like McCollum, but
is the right thing to do for them to just suck and get the very best?
I think they beat Phoenix tonight. I had that game on. I don't know what they were thinking.
Damn it.
Yeah, they broke their win streak. The Zion thing is the most interesting story in sport. I mean, New Orleans is in a weird spot because they don't really have anybody covering the team. They're the kind of this anonymous NBA team. They're playing in a super small market. They don't even have I don't even know if there was stuff going on in New Orleans. I don't even really know how we'd find out. I don't know when Zion's coming back. They showed him on the bench today. He was wearing like one of those jogging suits where it was hard to tell if he'd put on 50 pounds or not.
I know
they
which
just
way
signed
I
Trey
bet.
Murphy. They can't trade him. They have Hawkins, I would say, has some trade assets. So, yeah, you're right. New Orleans is in there. But to me, Indiana, that's the one I'm watching short term because I think they have pieces. There's moves. And I want to see if they do something. And then the other one who I saw in person, Rusilla and I really talk about in the Denver show, but Golden State. Now, they didn't have Draymond. Draymond solves a lot of second ball handler stuff with them, creating shots for people. Without him, Curry's really their only shot creator.
Mm-hmm.
They felt like a 3-for-1 team for me as I was watching them. They desperately need. They have all of these guys who are all fine, and none of them can create a shot. So that when Denver just took out Curry in the last 5 minutes, Jokic just calling out every Warriors play, and they just didn't have that second guy who's like, I got this. Let me get a couple buckets. Even somebody like Mathurin would be a huge help for them.
Interesting.
So, I left the game thinking I actually wouldn't be opposed to them trading for Zach LaVine.
Okay.
And I don't know with this how the apron. I don't even know how the trades work anymore, whether it's even conceivable and does it have to match exactly. But that's the type of guy they need. And Curry being 36, I just don't think you can waste the window anymore. Otherwise, just say, you know what, we are who we are, and that's it. But
I felt that way the last 2 years. I felt that way with this team. They just can't get him help. They just keep saying we're gonna roll the ball back out there with the guys that we got, and they just got worse. I mean, really, they never recovered from Draymond punching Jordan Poole in the face.
They didn't.
A sentiment I kind of understand now, but it's been 2 full seasons, and we got excited at the beginning of this season.
They won in 22, so I don't. It's not like,
you're right.
Don't shed tears for the Warriors, but
no, I'm not saying it. Right.
But I think the burden that they have on Curry now at the age that he's at is unrealistic, and I think they know it.
I agree.
And I was watching last night. I was watching how hard he has to run around to get open and do all the Curry stuff that he's been doing forever. But now he's doing it as a 36-year-old. And I don't know. Basketball is really hard to play. Did you see that? There was that thing that came out about people running during basketball games and the amount of miles you run during a year. Somebody tried to do a study on it to try to figure out, and basically took all the 3-point shots and the pace of the game and figured out some formula to compare it to like the 80s, the 90s. And it's just like there's way more running and sprinting now is basically the theory of it. And it backed up what I've thought this as I go to the games. It just feels like it's harder to play. It just feels like you're constantly on the move, sprinting, doing rush outs, flying around. And I don't know. I just think it's
much
unrealistic.
More impactful mileage now.
Yeah, because my biggest regret of our over-unders was the Phoenix one, because I think we gave KD's health too much credit because he played so many games last year. And he's a guy who's been in the league since the 2007 draft. And like, he's hurt again. He's been hurt twice already this year, for what we were laying for that bet, which was, what was the over? It was like 48.5, something like that.
Yeah, it was in the high 40s. Might have been 47.5 though.
Yeah, 47.5. And all three of us did a lot.
I don't regret it. Not yet.
I'll regret it if he can't play. Yeah, right now they're 12-9. We're going to be sweating that one out.
Yeah, we are going to be sweating that one.
Because it's like one more injury and they look pretty ordinary when he's out there. Anyway, so, and then Lakers will do some sort of panic trade. I just don't know what it is. I think if they're actually trying to be competitive this year, they know that you can't play LeBron, who's by metrics like one of the 5 worst defensive players in the league now, with Reeves, with Connect, and with D'Lo. You can't have those 4 guys on the basketball court at the same time unless you're trying to play a game that's like 145 to 143. So my guess is Reeves would be the trade guy.
Ooh, wow.
Right? Because his contract, and you can put it with something else.
It's an amazing contract.
Yeah.
They still have that first round pick in 29,
right?
Which is like super valuable.
Would you trade Reeves?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I'm trying to see what his new.
You have to have the right guy, but I mean, he's like $15 million a year.
Yeah, he is
great price.
12.9, 13.9, 14.8.
It's a great contract.
Russell's 18.6 expiring. So already that gets you over 30. Rui with 17 gets you to like the high 40s, right? So now you could, if you really wanted to make a run at an expensive guy, you could. But I'm sure Danny Ainge is just waiting. He's just waiting for them to panic.
What? Ainge? Why? What's Ainge got?
Because Ainge has all those pieces. He's got John Collins at 26.5. He's got Sexton at 18.3. Jordan Clarkson at 14. And he's got, most importantly, Kessler at 3.
The Lakers are not taking any of those dudes.
Sexton and
Sexton's
Kessler
the only one.
Sexton and Kessler would help them.
They would genuinely help them. But like,
and they have white guys to offer Utah. That's like the best currency you could have.
The Lakers, they're
gonna be like dangling Austin Reeves. I'm like, hey, Utah, look.
The guy that I would think that the Lakers would like have circled, Jimmy Butler. That's who I would think that, they would be going in that direction, right? They're not, and then we're not going for Walker. That's fucking Kessler. We're gonna go get a big, super duper big dong star. That's a tough guy, and he's already on the banana boat, and that's it. He's our dude. Something like Jimmy Butler.
I like the way you're thinking, House. Let me look at this for a second. So that would be Reeves. That would have to be basically Reeves, Russell, and Rui.
Bye-bye. Enjoy. And by the way, all those guys would be like, Miami? Yes! We're in.
Kyle, turn the TikTok camera on. Here's what I actually think the Lakers should do. I would trade Davis and cash in on him.
Wow.
What's he worth?
Wow. Embiid for Davis.
No,
straight up.
Not what Embiid. Honestly, what would Davis be worth?
Everything.
Like,
who can come up with enough?
Let's say he was in play for the Rockets. Would they have to think about that?
Of course they'd have to think about that.
Yeah, of course they would.
What kind of question is that?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, a million yeses.
I just don't think
the Lakers are not trading Anthony Davis.
If the goal is to win a title over the next 4 years,
the goal is to win the title this year or next.
They have no chance.
I agree.
0 chance. No chance. None of winning the title. No chance. 0. There is no way.
There's a guy. They need a guy.
They need a time machine.
They do need a time machine. Yes.
Look, it's amazing that LeBron is still playing and that he can score 29 points in a game in his 22nd year in the league. They're not winning a title with him. They're not winning a title with the team they have, and they can't play defense. And they know it.
No argument.
Davis 31, as healthy as he's ever been, making a ton of money.
They dedicated themselves. They became a 3-point shooting team, except for they can't shoot threes. I'm going to hold on to that clip that I sent you. That's going to be my part of my where LeBron misses the entire rim. He misses so badly that the announcer's like, wide left. That didn't even. Oh my, wide left.
Yeah, that would be Indiana as my number 1 trade team now. Anyway,
okay,
that's it. That's my little basketball report for you. Who would you bet right now for the finals if you had to make a bet?
Oklahoma City and Boston.
It's funny. I don't think that's changed. And yet, I continue to think Cleveland's really, really good.
They are really good.
And I have Celtics fans in my life who aren't really focused on it enough yet. One of the things about them, Mitchell is about as unafraid of the Celtics as any guy in the league. Like, he really has so much confidence against them. They have size, and there's still that Okoro spot that I think, I don't know if they're going to try to upgrade that or whether they just like the chemistry so much, but
I also would just counsel in favor of, like, don't be dismissive of the Knicks. If the Knicks arrive in the playoffs healthy, those guys, they're alpha. They are not. They think that they think that Boston is beta, and they think that they're alpha, and that's going to be a hell of a fist fight. I'm just telling you.
I'll welcome that one.
Okay, I'm just telling you. They think it'll be a fist fight, and it might be.
The Knicks aren't the team. It's Cleveland's the team. Now the Knicks. if Robinson can come back and actually be healthy.
Yes. I said if they're healthy.
I figure there's a buyout guy for them that we don't know who it is in February or beginning of March, but there's some guy they're going to get who is excited to play with the Knicks, who has a relationship with Wes and Leon.
For sure.
And there's some sort of DiVincenzo replacement type swing that will be on their team that I don't know who it is yet.
It can't be DiVincenzo? He can't.
No,
I mean,
because he is traded.
He would like to come back.
Minnesota will be able to trade him.
Yes.
I don't think they'll be able to trade Randall, but anyway.